love it. Okay, so I've got all the comments over here and all the stuff over here. Hello. Hello to the people. All right, beautiful people. Hi, I'm Bonnie Gillespie, and we're going to look at stelliums today. Happy Jupiter's Day. Happy Gemini moon. Pisces sun. It's all kinds of mutable. Please tell me in the chat during our live stream here if you have a stellium, if you know. You may not know. That may be part of why you're here, is to find out, do I have a stellium? We're going to find out. Hello, everybody. La, la, la. Teresa, happy Bon Bon Day. I love it. I love it. Hi, Day. So glad you're here. Greetings from New York City. Hello, Kelly. So glad you're here. Hello, Deb Marie. Good day, good day. All 7 of my caps said, girl, you better work today, says Day. That's awesome. I love it. Fabulous. Absolutely. I love that you got some bossy Capricorn stellium action. That is good stuff. Good stuff. Kelly says, my Virgo stellium 6th house is going to get pounded by these eclipses. No, not necessarily. We will talk about it all. Yes, we will. Yes, we will. Hello, EJ. Good to see you. Greetings from Arizona, says Michelle. Thank you all for stopping by. I'm not even going to apologize for starting late because I am going to run a highlighter over it though, apparently. I set alarms. I come in early. I get ready. I'm like, I got all the, and then I just do one extra thing. And damn it if that one extra thing doesn't end up making me late. The irony of it all, the first professional acting job I ever had, I played Early Rabbit in The House on Pooh Corner in theater in Atlanta. Have you given yourself a hug today? Have you given yourself? Really, Gillespie? Are we going to have that menopause mouth today? All right. Good to know. Have you hugged yourself today? Even if you have, do it again because it feels good. Get grounded. Make sure you get that shadow side. Thank you so much for joining me. Please make sure you subscribe and hit the thumbs up and all that good YouTube-y stuff. Comments and chats during the live are open to subscribers of 8 minutes or more. So if you can't chat yet, subscribe, and in 8 minutes you'll be able to. All right, if it makes you feel better, Bond starting late and or tech issues just means you're a professional live streamer now. Good. I love it. I love it. I love it. That's fabulous. Wonderful news. Good, good, good. I get it, Bond. Story of my life. Right, Michelle? I mean, okay, and I don't have Mala's beautiful bed over here on sectional chocolate 2. Sectional chocolate, the main, is out here. This is a second sectional chocolate that we had to build in the room because we thought we were going to move sectional chocolate into here, and then we couldn't get sectional chocolate through the door. So we found a build it in the room yourself pieces sectional. And during quarantine times, no, in 2018, during my quarantine times while I was on bed rest, Keith built me another sectional chocolate. Y'all, we're going to talk about stelliums. We're going to get into the groups of energies you have on your chart and what they mean. So we're going to start by looking at the chart of the now. Let's see if my magic husband made something work beautifully for me. I'm almost positive he did, but y'all will tell me for sure. Tell me how that's looking. In your world, can you see me and can you see my screen simultaneously through the magic of all the things? Keith is the best. He's quite wonderful. You should be looking at me, looking at my screen there. Even though my screen's not really there, I'm going to look there. Okay, good. All right. Set alarms, gathered my stuff, got my chart, my pens, and no notebooks. So taking notes, no taking notes until the replay. I get it. Okay, good. It's fuzzy. Change your settings to the highest quality for you. I don't like that it's fuzzy. Where do I change the settings for fuzzy? Is my face fuzzy or is the screen that I'm sharing fuzzy? You can see both. Okay, great. Great. Thank you. Thank you, Blair. So good to see you. Hello, Kristen. Okay. If it's fuzzy, says Day to you, change your settings to the highest quality for you. Day, thank you. I think you're coaching me, but you're coaching everybody. You're so awesome. Okay, great. So this is the woo of the now. This is the woo of the now right here. We have, so why is there no mala bed on second sectional chocolate? Because it's too cold in here. And he says, even with my bed in the room, it's too cold in this room. So we may get a mala visit, but it would probably be enticed by a Keith visit. So maybe we're going to get a Keith visit. Anyway, Keith made this for me where we can now see my app on the screen and me over in the corner, and hopefully I'm not covering up anything too important. The part I'm covering up that's right under here, if you can see my mouse, is just a repeat of this information that's right here. So that's it. Okay, all right, so here we are in the woo of the now. There's a lot of mutable energy. We've got this Gemini moon, we've got this Gemini Jupiter. Jupiter's not so happy in Gemini, but you know, it's getting used to it. It's been there since June. It's going to continue to be there until June. It's like, you know, it's doing its thing. Also in that mutable energy is all this Pisces goodness. Oh my lordy, we got the sun in Pisces. We got Saturn in Pisces for one more year, except he's actually going to dip out this year and go test some Aries and then go back into Pisces and finish some business. It's going to be interesting. We have the North Node in Pisces, and we have Neptune in Pisces. Neptune at the end of March, y'all, in just a few weeks, Neptune is going to move from the critical degree, 29 degrees of Pisces, which is at 29 degrees, the planet does the most that planet does, and it does it in the most sign that it's in way. So 29 degrees is a really important thing to take a look at. It's going to be an interesting Neptune doing the most Pisces things possible over the next little bit. Then Neptune's going to dip into Aries for the first time since 1862. And we're going to find out what Neptune in Aries is like. We're going to learn how that feels. And then after that, of course, because of retrograde, Neptune will move back into Pisces and finish up some business there. This is a lot of like what we went through with Pluto going back and forth from Capricorn into Aquarius to check things out, and then coming back over to Capricorn to see if there's anything else they need to deal with, and then going back into Aquarius where they now will be until 2044. So we got a while now with that one. So all that to say, we've got a lot of mutable energy right this second. The moon will move into Cancer later. That is probably going to be tomorrow in the wee hours that'll happen. But what we're looking for today are birth charts, natal charts that have this kind of cluster of things. And this kind of cluster of things going on here can sometimes be defined as a stellium. Now, there are people who define a stellium as something very, very strict and very regimented, rule restricted, kind of like this is the way it's got to be. Let's say they're very Saturnian in the way they define what a stellium is. And then there are others like me who go, you know what? You know where there's a lot of energy in your chart. You know where there's a lot of activity in your life. And if that means you want to call what you've got there a stellium, you go right on ahead and call that a stellium. I got no problem with that. I have 3 lovely volunteers who have told me that they would happily be on screen today. Not your face. I'm not bringing you live on screen. If anybody's like, oh, I'm not camera ready, don't worry. Your chart is camera ready. I have 3 lovely volunteers who have agreed to let me show their charts as examples of stellium, not stellium, maybe. I don't know. We're going to start with my chart, though, because that's the one I know best. So I'm going to go over here to my birth chart. We are now looking at the woo of Bonnie Gillespie, born July 11th, 1970. You can celebrate me the entire month of July. It's totally fine. I have a couple of big clusters of energy. Now, any astrologer will tell you that when you have big important planets or placements in the angles, you're going to feel those things happen in your life a lot more acutely. And I'm not trying to make a geometry joke by saying acutely after I just said angles, but that was kind of clever. Okay, so here's what I'm talking about. When you have lots of things in the first house, the fourth house, the seventh house, or the 10th house, and you see I'm looking at these little numbers that are around the center of the chart wheel here, those are considered the angles. And in your natal chart, in your birth chart, those angles are places where you hold lots of energy and a lot of activity, even if they're empty. So you'll see I have empty houses, third house, fourth house, fifth house, all empty. Ninth house, also empty. Just totally nothing in them. Third, fourth, fifth, ninth, nothing. Now, if I wanted to go through and turn on a bunch of little planetoids and comet-like things and, fixed stars, I could come up with a bunch of things that are all over my chart. But I've already got enough turned on here by including the nodes, which are these guys right here. They're always right across from each other. And Chiron. These are extras. A lot of people will turn them off for some reason. I like to keep them on. And sometimes I'll also turn on like Dark Moon Lilith. I think I'm going to do Black Moon Lilith, not Dark Moon. Dark Moon Rising. Black Moon Rising? What's the song? Doesn't matter. I'm going to do, I think, a webinar or an overview or a mini course or a pop-up or something on Black Moon Lilith because she is so powerful. So that's on my increasingly long list of things that I'm going to do. All of these things, of course, have different energy that they bring to the chart. The formula that I want you to keep in mind always with chart harmony goodies is the planet is the what, the sign is the how, and the house is where it all shows up for you. That's it. That is the basic formula for chart harmony and all things astrology. Planet, what? So what is it that's happening? That planet is telling you the what. How is it being done? That is the sign. And then where it's going to show up in your life, that's the house. So when we're looking at the angles, first house, fourth house, seventh house, 10th house, we're talking about the houses that hold the most energy in your life, even if they are empty in your natal chart. But today what we're looking at specifically is how stelliums or groups or clusters of planets in your natal chart might show up. So let's take a look here at my first house. I have Uranus at 5 degrees Libra. I have my ascendant, that's my rising, at 16 degrees Libra. I have the moon at 18 degrees Libra, and I have Jupiter at 26 degrees Libra. So all of these things in Libra bring an energy of their own what into the sign, which is the how, and the house, which is the where. So each of these whats are stacking up in this place. Also, we can take a look at my 10th house. This is where I have Cancer in whole sign houses. If I'm using Placidus or some other quadrant house method, it would not look exactly like this. So if yours is not right on the line where every time a sign changes, the house changes as well, you might want to change to whole sign houses just to match this experience to help it click for you. Totally up to you, whatever house system works for you. But this is what we're using whole sign houses here. I've got Cancer midheaven, this MC that's midheaven. It's a point. It's not, there's no like planet midheaven that we can get to. It's a calculated mathematical point. And that represents my career, ambition, my goals, how I'm seen in the public eye, a lot of things that are related to how I go about doing my business. Right there conjunct my sun in Cancer at 18 degrees, both of these at 18 degrees Cancer. And then we have my Mercury at 24 degrees Cancer and my sad little out of sect, not happy at all, Mars in fall at 25 degrees Cancer. Okay. What does this mean? In my life, my lived experience, what this means is I have a lot of energy concentrated in these places. The strict rule of stellium is 3 or more traditional planets or luminaries in the same sign. Now, there's a little asterisk, and I'm going to define some terms. There's a little asterisk in this very strict way of doing things that says Mercury and the sun don't count. Not meaning, I'm not saying we don't count them at all. I'm saying Mercury and the Sun being in the same sign don't count as far as this strict stellium definition is concerned, because Mercury can only ever be one sign away from the Sun, because technically the Sun is actually the astrology of the Earth, like, because we're mapping where is the Earth with like relative to Mercury and the Sun, but we call it the Sun is in a whatever sign. So trust me on this. The way we do it though is because Mercury's orbit is so close to the Earth's orbit, and the way we go around the Sun together, very, very similar. It's why we get so many Mercury retrogrades that in each year, because everything that's not a luminary gets a retrograde at some point, but not as often as Mercury. And it's because it's so close to the way we're doing things here on planet Earth, time-wise, orbit-wise. So because Mercury and the Sun, remember, aka the Earth, are so close together in the way they work, we can never get Mercury away from our Sun more than a sign on one side or t'other. So if my Sun is in Cancer, which it is, I could only ever possibly have a Mercury in Gemini, which I don't have, a Mercury in Cancer, which I do have, or a Mercury in Leo, which I don't have. But because the greatest possibility of the Mercury being in the same sign of the Sun is there, because the greatest possibility for Mercury is to be in the same sign as the Sun, because those are the places where it spends the most time, and then it goes out over here to the one sign and out over here to the other sign before it does its retrograde illusion and after. That is why we want to, if we're using the strictest definition of stellium, not count Mercury and the Sun being in the same sign. It's like they cancel each other out and don't become two in that count of three traditional planets or luminaries. And again, I said I was going to come back and do definitions. Traditional means only the Moon, Mercury, Venus, the Sun, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. According to strict definition of stellium, you have to have three or more of those things, not counting a Mercury-Sun conjunction or co-presence in the same sign, in order to have a stellium. Now, I say, why do we have to be so strict? Of course I say that, because by that definition, I have no stellium. I have, in Libra, going back to where we started, Uranus doesn't count. Ascendant doesn't count because it's not a planet, it's a point. And I'm like, it is the point that determines who drives my life car. And life car being driven by something that important, I think that it can be a factor in the stellium. So let's considering it, right? So if we have to throw out Uranus because it's not one of the traditional planets, and then we have to throw out the ascendant for some reason, which I don't understand, then that only leaves Moon and Jupiter, and therefore no chance that that's a stellium. Okay, fine. I will lose one of my two stelliums. Let me go over to the 10th house to see if I lose anything there. Well, I lose the midheaven because it's a point. It's not a planet, and it's nothing we can go visit. So I lose that one. And then we say, even though this is Sun, Mercury, and Mars, which that's three traditional planets right there, because of the rule that we don't consider when Mercury and the Sun are in the same sign, we don't count that as two under strict definition of stellium, then I lose that stellium too. Okay, and here's what I'm going to tell you. I, Bonnie Gillespie, do not have this chart and not have two stelliums. I will even allow the Uranus part to be discounted up until I'm 42 years old. But as soon as I go through the Uranus opposition, which we all go through around age 42, Uranus suddenly becomes a much bigger part of my personality than it ever was before. And this is true for most people. You have a before and after with your Uranus opposition. And it's one of those midlife transits that's just so incredibly beautiful to experience. Well, so here I am going, I'm going to go by the more loosey-goosey, modern, open definition of stellium, which is there's a lot of stuff over there and there's a lot of stuff over there. I got 4 things I can take a look at, including my rising, which is the driver of my life car. I mean, that's a biggie right there. That energy says big, 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 right next to my moon, super big, and Jupiter, which says let's make it even bigger, because Jupiter says to everything more, 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 more. And then Uranus says I'm going to get a little cantankerous, but I'm not really going to show you what I'm capable of until you're around 42. And then I'll go, yeah, I see that. I see what you're doing there. And I'm going to call that a stellium. And then I'm going to go over here to my 10th house and I'm going to say that midheaven conjunct sun is loud. Like, because that's not just a midheaven hanging out. That's a midheaven conjunct sun. Like my identity, my navigator in my life car is basically sitting on my career and sitting on how I present in the world. Like, you don't know me outside of what you know I do for a living, almost without fail, anytime in my life. And I've always worked, always worked. That right there, plus Mercury, how I communicate with that Mars telling that Mercury, no, go ahead, be louder. No, go ahead, be louder and be pissed. Mars is constantly telling my Mercury, be pissed, be mad at the world, yell, be loud, be ranty, be ragey, like let your fire out, say it so everybody can hear it. And then because it's a Mars in Cancer, feel really, really bad about that thing that you said and the way that you looked at somebody, and live the whole rest of your life playing that over and over and over again, worried that you upset somebody, because you can still see that exact moment and you know that you hurt somebody because you have all this empathy, because Cancer. I have 2 stelliums. Why are stelliums important? Why do we care? So, in the woo of recent times, if I go back to when we had, let's see, transiting Pluto opposing my natal Mars, for example. Most recently, so here's what I just did. I just put a shower cap on the outside of my chart. So my chart is still this one right here, and then we've got one of those old-fashioned shower caps that's gone on the outside of the whole head of my chart. I took it back in time to December of 2021. This was the last time that Pluto, which was in Capricorn from 2008 through like-ish last year, because we were still doing the back and forth to Aquarius, still checking things out, still experiencing that Capricorn of it all. Pluto in Capricorn was opposing my Mars exactly up until the end of December 2021. So until the end of 2021, I was having an opposition of Pluto to Mars. But before that, I was having an opposition of Pluto to my Mercury. But before that, I was having an opposition of Pluto to my sun and my midheaven. And so for the better part of the entire 14, 15 years that Pluto was in Capricorn, I was either getting an opposition from Pluto to all that stuff that I've got in Cancer, or having a square to all that stuff that I have in Libra. So, when I tell you the reason we want to know if we have stelliums is because we want to know if the transits that are going to happen out in the world are going to be of bigger impact to us. This is what I mean. Because right now, if I go take this outside wheel back out to the now of it all, right now we have Pluto in Aquarius. And the reason I'm picking on Pluto here specifically is because Pluto moves so slowly that when you enter a Pluto transit, when Pluto is opposing, conjunct, or square anything in your natal chart, you're going to be feeling it for years. It's not subtle. Pluto is the planet of transformation. Pluto is the planet of the Tower card in the Tarot. Pluto is the planet of let's burn it to the motherfucking ground and then rebuild it, hopefully better. It's not subtle. Not subtle. So if you have anything near 3 degrees Aquarius right now, or any fixed sign, so if you have something at or near 3 degrees Leo, which would be opposite Aquarius, or anything near or around 3 degrees Scorpio, or Taurus, both of which would be squared by Pluto in Aquarius, you're feeling it. You're feeling it, and you're going to be feeling it for years. Okay, that is why we care about stelliums. We want to know, when am I going to feel hot and bothered by the transits that are happening? So now back to my chart with no current transits around it. Just taking a look at this wheel, we can see that I have a whole bunch of Libra, one outer planet in Scorpio, no big deal. Outer planet, not as big a deal. I have nodes that are mutable. I have North Node in Pisces, South Node in Virgo. That's interesting. Chiron in Aries. That's a cardinal sign. I do have a fixed sign here with my Saturn in Taurus, but it's by itself, and it's in the 8th house. It's kind of dark, you know. It's got interesting dynamics there. And then all of that in Cancer, as we've discussed. My chart ruler Venus in Leo at the critical degree, by the way, on Regulus, which is a fixed star, and on Black Moon Lilith. Again, one of the reasons I kind of want to do some Lilith work, because my chart ruler is like sitting on her along with Regulus. It's a big deal. So that's kind of loud, also fixed. And then I've got my natal Pluto in Virgo, so that's another one that's mutable. But for the most part, this is a cardinal chart. So what that tells me is anytime something is happening big, like eclipses, or big planets like small planet Pluto, planetoid, in fact, declassified or reclassified as a planetoid, not a planet, whatever. Pluto moving into a new sign, therefore a new modality. It's worth noting, anytime something is going to move into a cardinal sign, like I was just speaking about, the current woo weather here, we've got coming up in just a few weeks, Neptune moving from Pisces to Aries. That is a big deal for people with cardinal placements. So if you have a cardinal stellium or two, like I do, you are going to notice this Neptune moving into Aries thing more than other folks. And if you're someone who has a lot of mutable placements, like my husband, or like some of the example charts that we're about to go through, you are going to be so glad that Neptune moves out of the mutable sign of Pisces and gets on with something else, because you've been dealing with that mutable Neptune experience for a dozen years, because that's how long Neptune stays in a sign, 12 to 14 years. So let's now look at some of the examples. But before I get into the non-bond examples, I am going to take this off screen for just a sec and take a look at chats to see if I've got any questions. And then we're going to get into the ones that lovely, beautiful, wonderful people gave me a permission to use, to show. Boop, boop. All right, and add you to that list if needed. Okay, Deb Marie, I sure will. Thank you, Bad Moon Rising. I knew I was not making that song up, right? Love Lilith. Okay, good, great, Kristen. We will definitely do that. Ba on the rules. A lot of activity is a lot of activity. Vio, I agree. I agree. It's one of the things that I love about looking at a natal chart or a transit chart. It's like you can just see where a lot of energy is, and just knowing a lot of energy is here explains why things are going a certain way or feeling a certain kind of way. It's just there's a lot of activity. It's for instance, people who don't believe in Mercury retrograde. Okay, that's fine. You believe what you want to believe. I'm not going to make you believe anything that's not yours to believe. Whatever, you do what you want to do. That's absolutely, you're right. There are people who say I don't believe in Mercury retrograde, and I say even if you don't believe in Mercury retrograde, just knowing that there are others who believe they are being impacted negatively by this illusion that's happening, because retrograde is an illusion. It is because of our orbits being so similar that it looks like for a little while one of us gets behind the other, and it's just an illusion. But that illusion gets performed and looks real enough for just long enough that it does change how communication happens. It gets wires crossed. You can ask anybody, if you want to talk about eclipses, you can ask anybody who works in a school or a hospital or a police station how much kookier it gets when it's eclipse season. There are things that do tend to affect people. Could be I get affected more by a full moon than you do. Just knowing, even if you don't buy into the whole astrology of it all, just the astronomy of it all is enough for you to go, yeah, I can see there are some people who are affected by solar flares. Okay. And again, you don't have to believe it. It's fine. But there are people who are like, I can tell we're having solar flares. I am going to need to do something with myself to rest, because I'm really feeling that energy. It's changing in me, and I can feel that static electricity. And I'm actually thinking about that as I get into my sun profected year a few years from now. That'll be interesting to see if solar flares get a little more on my radar or become a little bit more of my experience. So many ways we can talk about all of this. Okay. More like guidelines, says Deb Marie. I like that. I like that. The MC Sun is the PowerPoint of your chart. It's why we see you shining here. Thank you, Kristen. Yes, I think I do the same as your Cancer with my Aries and Pisces. Yeah, the stelliums will do it. Capricorn of it all. Yep, use it, use it, use it. Personalized ringtone for my parents is Bad Moon Rising. Deb Marie. You are cracking me up. Via says, yes, and love you, Bond, for showing why I'm feeling what I'm feeling, including that Pluto squaring my Taurus Mars 3 degrees. Vio, that is going to tickle for a minute. I wish I could tell you it's going to be over before you know it, but, Pluto is in Aquarius for 20 damn years. And so if there's only 30 degrees that it's got to cross, if we're using the whole sign house system, you're like, yeah, this is going to take a while to get past that 3 degree square. It's going to go back and forth over it because of retrograde and all that. I mean, Exactly, Kelly. I agree. Okay, great. I'm not seeing like big burning, oh my God, please help, I don't understand this part question. So I'm going to show you now. Uh-oh, I hit something weird on my screen. I hope I didn't go away. Okay, let's hope I didn't go away. If I went away, I miss you all. Okay, recently used. We're going to start with, because I don't want you to be confused if you don't have a stellium, I'm going to show you a demo that we're going to call F. And it's because the person that shared it with me has a name that starts with F, or an identity at Discord that starts with F. So we're going to go with that. I think I got it all working here. So this is a natal chart with no stellium. And I love being able to share this. Thank you, F, for volunteering to let me share you. Because I want to make sure that we normalize all kinds of charts. I want to make sure that it's clear there are all different types of charts out there. And whereas in my natal chart, you saw the clusters of energy, those stelliums in specifically the angles, first house, 10th house. Here in F's chart, we see a much more spread out presentation of the information. You remember how in my chart I said, look, I've got empty third house, fourth house, fifth house, ninth house, like total ghost towns, nothing in those houses. Here in F's chart, we actually have a Virgo rising, and then we've got 2 outer planets in Libra, and then we've got an empty third house. We've got another outer planet in Sagittarius over here in the 4th house. We've got North Node in the 5th house of Capricorn. Then we have Mars and Jupiter in the 6th house of Aquarius. And we've got Moon in Pisces. Oh, so pretty. We got that Moon in Pisces in the 7th house. We've got Mercury and Chiron in Aries, 8th house. We've got the Sun and Venus. So yummy, yummy, yummy in Taurus. Oh, I love this so much for you, F. Oh, I love it so much for you. Then we move over here to Gemini. We've got the Midheaven and Saturn. Oh, I love a 10th house Saturn. I love a 10th house Saturn. You are so set up for success. Yes, even with all that mutable stuff. Yes, you are. You've got that structure because Daddy Saturn hanging out up there at the top of your chart. I love it. And of course, then you've got South Node in Cancer because North Node was in Capricorn, and an empty 12th house. So there's an empty 12th house, an empty 3rd house, and everything else is just kind of spread around. And that beautiful splay format of the chart is one that I enjoy seeing because it's so unlike mine. I've got these clusters, and then a bunch of empty space. This is a much more well spread out chart. And again, going back to one of the things I mentioned looking at my chart, and for the rules, especially the strict rules of stellium, the Sun and Mercury are in this chart one sign away from one another. We've got an Aries Mercury and a Sun in Taurus. And so we've got that difference that we were talking about where it puts Mercury in a different sign, but it can only ever be that sign away or the other sign away, and not too far in terms of degrees because of the way the orbits work there. Venus similarly can only be a couple of signs off from the Sun, but we'll give Venus her own special show. In fact, if you would like to do my pop-up 44 days with Venus while Venus is retrograde right now. Venus is in her retrograde illusion right now. Come join me at 44 days with Venus and put in the code RETRO at checkout to save $11. It is a really lovely daily microdose of love, money, enoughness, fortifying activities. It's one of my very favorite things. I'm so happy that I made it, and it is a beautiful course to do with me again during this Venus retrograde or anytime that you need boosts of those areas. So F, thank you so much for letting me use your chart as an example. We don't have a stellium here. We do still have clusters of energy, and you saw me comment on them as we went around. I commented specifically on this Sun-Venus co-presence. They're 5 degrees apart, so that's not really a conjunction, but it's not a conjunction either. They hang out together. And especially because Venus in Taurus is in domicile. Venus is the ruler of Taurus. We can see that this is a sun that gets a lot of that Venusian vibe. It's not just a Taurus sun, it's a Taurus sun kissed by Venus. Like there's just a lot of love in this one. Yeah, that I would say that you probably present as someone who's got a lot of your values sewn into and knitted into how you show up in the world, because Venus is really big into values, and especially in the 9th house, it's going to be that you value higher education, you value going after degrees, you value probably things that are considered like the expert version of whatever it is that you're into. You like to go deep with all of that stuff, and you like to make it real. That having an earth sign for your sun and your Venus there definitely would do that. And of course, having Virgo rising, so you're meticulous about getting all the details right. Anyway, I could go into a full reading on this, but we are, of course, doing our live stream on stelliums. So I will now take a moment and look at the chat to see if there's anything I need to take a look at before I go on to the next example. Let's see. Excellent, excellent. Boop, boop, boop. Yay! Eventually it will square my later degree Scorpio Pluto. Yeah, VO, definitely. Right, I know. I get a little jealous of a beautifully balanced chart as well. Like it's sort of like if you have curly hair, you want straight hair. If you have straight hair, you want curly hair. I think it kind of lives in that department. It's just like, ooh, that chart is so different from my chart, and I love it. It's so pretty. It's just so pretty. Okay, no questions. It's so great. I did it last time. Venus was retro. Oh, thank you, Kelly. Thank you so much for saying so. I really, really do appreciate that. VO, text me. I know you text me in my texting app, and I will get you an even deeper discount. And now everybody's like, wait, do me. Okay, join my texting app, and then you will see what kinds of neat things happen exclusively for my texters. I got you. We'll work it out. All right, so now let's go to my next demo. Recently, we're going to go to, let's go to Kay. All right, Kay, thank you for letting me use your chart as well. Definitely we got some stellium action, or some we should ask, is it stellium or is it not action? So let's start here at the Aries Rising, Aries North Node, Aries Saturn, Aries Chiron. That is a lot of Aries energy for sure, and it's cardinal. So just like in my chart where we had cardinal on the angles, 1st, 4th, 7th, 10th houses, and in F's chart, we had mutable on the angles. That was that Virgo rising, and you remember up top that Saturn in Gemini, 10th house. So I was like, ooh, so that mutable on the angles. This is another cardinal on the angles chart like mine, and we are dealing with Chiron, which does not count towards stellium, and North Node, which does not count towards stellium. However, I am going to bet that this person would tell you they absolutely feel a lot of first house energy. Let's go back to the formula. The planet is the what, the sign is the how, and the house is the where. So in this chart, that first house energy, that first house Aries stellium is going to be showing up in the body. There's going to be a physicality, a personality that includes this energy. People with busy, packed first houses tend to have strong personalities. They tend to be people that you cannot forget. You meet them and you're like, yep. I mean, for me, it's my Jupiter in the first house. Anybody with Jupiter in the first house, even if it's the only thing you've got there, that is a big personality that walks into the room and you can't miss it. But this, no Jupiter, but Chiron, that's the wounded healer. That is an identity, and it is the first thing in this Aries house. And it's right on top of that rising. Woo! That ascendant being right there under Chiron. Wow. So that is your again, rising is the driver of your life car. It is how you get through your whole lived experience. If you do not know life car, you can just put in your favorite search engine. I recommend DuckDuckGo. Or the Googs. If you're still with the Googs, be with the Googs. Put in, go ahead. Bonnie Gillespie life car, and you will land on some things I've written and some things I've done video and audio and workbooky that'll help you with the life car concept. I will even create your life car for you in Canva if you're on my mailing list and get an email from me that says, hey, do you want me to do this for you? Give me your birth information and I will do it for you. I'm happy to do it. Life car, very important part of the conversation. That expression of how you move your car through life, how you move your personality through life, being hooked up with that wounded healer. It is the position of a healer, but it's also the position of gotta heal my wound before I can heal everybody else's, or gotta heal everybody else's before I can figure out how to heal mine. And that North Node amplifies. So even though we don't count the North Node as a part of a stellium, because again, it is a mathematical point. It is something that we can do math around, but it is not something we can go and visit. This North Node in Aries, in the first house, is going to turn up everything around it. The North Node, which is the one that's shaped like an N, if you want to use your imagination and kind of see that as an N, and then you see the South Node, which is the one that's opposite it always. I like to say that one looks like a bucket. And there's a hole in the bucket, dear Liza, because South Node is always a drain of energy. North Node is always an amplification of energy. So we've got amplified energy and this rising and this wounded healer, and then big bad daddy Saturn saying, are you doing what I told you to do? Are you doing what you said you would do? Are you doing your chores? I'm going to should, and I'm going to should, and I'm going to should some more. Daddy Saturn loves to should, especially retrograde. If you're like, how do you know it's retrograde? In this app, anytime there's red text, so these numbers in red, it means retrograde. Okay. Next up, we're going to move around, empty house, empty house, empty house. And then we get over here to the moon in Leo. Love, chef's kiss. Mars in Leo, but far, far away from that moon. More chef's kiss. Love it. And then we get over here into this sixth house. Oh, wow. Look at that. We have Jupiter right close to that Pluto. Pluto's a generational planet. In the natal chart, we are all of a generation based on where Pluto was at the time we were born. And so there's a whole pack of us with that Virgo Pluto natally, and we are Gen Xers. We are of that generation of we are going to transform whatever it is that healing looks like. While we're here in our lifetime, we are going to revolutionize, because Pluto is the planet of revolution, planet of transformation, planet of burn it to the motherfucking ground and then do better. Healing, because Virgo is the sign of healing. And so as a part of this, I'm a part of this generation as well. This Pluto Virgo is not as big a deal in terms of stellium counting because it is such a far, far outer planet. But this one is sandwiched between Jupiter, which says more, 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 and the sun, which is, hi, this is my identity. I'm the navigator of your life car. I'm going to show you where we're going. I'm the one with I'm the one with the map. I said I'm the one with the nap. Y'all, menopause mouth is real. If you don't have it yet, highly recommended that you forgive yourself right now ahead of time for when you get it, because it's very real. All right, and then we have Uranus. And Uranus says, where am I not free? Because damn it, wherever I'm not free, I'm going to flip some tables and I'm going to bust some things up until I get free. And so even though normally I would say, no, 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 this isn't a stellium because Pluto is an outer and Uranus, yes, like I said, in my chart, it became a factor after the age of 42, after I had my Uranus opposition. I can't ignore that these are really close to this sun, which means this person, K, absolutely shows up in the world in this sixth house Virgo way with tons of energy. And sixth house is where it shows up in your life. So when we did the stelliums in my chart, we had the first house, which is your personality, and the 10th house, which is my career. And for sure, those are very big places in my life. Absolutely. If you're in my life, those are things you know. In Kay's chart and in Kay's situation here, we're looking at the same first house, yes, cluster of energy. I'm probably going to say not a stellium for first house because we really only have Saturn as the official planet spokesperson for a first house stellium. But for sure, I'm going to call this sixth house stellium, even though we're dealing with outer planets for Pluto and Uranus, because Jupiter turns it all up and these two very powerful outer planets are flanking the sun, which is how K navigates the world. And that means, using the formula, planet is the what, the sign is the how, and the house is where it all shows up for you. Sixth house, that's your daily life. That's your health, your hygiene. It's how you do wellness. It's interesting here with Virgo in that sixth house, in this natural chart wheel with Aries Rising, has a focus on healing just already. That big focus on how can I do healing differently? How can I transform healing? How can I change what makes me healthy? And maybe the rules are not going to be the same for this person as they would be for someone who didn't have this concentration of energy in the sixth house. So here's where I say, this is a person that's going to feel every time there's something cardinal, because this big Aries first house energy, even though it's not a stellium, these are going to be points that are sensitive to things that happen in cardinal transits. And then absolutely anything that's going on mutable, we're going to want to pay attention, because especially when we get into those higher degrees, 18, 22, 25, 29, we're going to be feeling a lot. So let's take a look at the current woo weather on top of Kay's chart. And we have the south node moving through this sixth house. Right now, the nodes are in North Node Pisces, South Node Virgo. And the nodes being in that configuration from now until July of 2026 means we're going to be having our eclipses on the Pisces Virgo axis. If you missed my chat on the eclipses of March 2025 and what they mean to you, that is a video I did not too long ago in this same channel. So go check that out. The eclipses specifically that happen in the sign of Virgo with this south node here, going to be draining some energy as it passes by all of these. And the nodes move backwards, and so we're actually counting down from 27 degrees, 26, 25, and so we're headed toward K's sun with this south node in Virgo. And so it's going to mean there's a drain of energy on the day-to-day matters, the health and hygiene of it all, just the pets, people in your life in that day-to-day activity. If you're someone with a jobby job, it's going to be the people that you do that job with. If you own a business, it's going to be the people who work for you. You'll find a little bit of a drain in energy here for this 18-month period as the south node goes across all of that. And so that's why, again, it's important to know when we have a stellium, because knowing you have a stellium, you are aware, okay, I am going to be feeling every one of these little hits, and each one is going to feel a little different. A transit to Uranus is going to activate where am I not free? A transit to the sun is going to activate how do I show up in the world? What is my identity? What's my vitality, especially around health things, because sixth house is where we look to for health and wellness as well as illness. How vital am I? How strong do I feel? And then when Pluto, of course, that's the Tower card. It's where can we transform things? And then Jupiter comes in and says, glitter bombs for everyone. Make it bigger. Let's have abundance of faith and trust and belief that all is well, and we will have everything we want all the time, always, because what is time? I am now going to come back to the chat to see how we're doing, and then I'm going to do my last example. Let's see. I cannot not count my Chiron, says VO. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. My chart is such a playground, says K. Yes. Okay. Yes. Perfect. LOL, says EJ. Jupiter and Chiron in the first house. Day, you cannot miss that, because Jupiter and Chiron in the first house with your ascendant, yes, you are definitely going to be feeling all of that. It's such a helpful metaphor, the life card. Thank you. I agree. I think it's really, really helpful. Daddy Saturn Ga. So fun in Aries. Yep. It is real. At the 29th degree, correct. No doubt. Chiron is 29 degree Pisces. That degree earns its rep. Yeah. Maybe that's another talk we need to do. I need to make a list. Day, will you make a list for me? We need to do a Black Moon Lilith, and we need to do a critical degree. These are topics now that I am so back and consistent with my YouTube channel. I love coming back live. I was so, you could not make me. You could not hold hostage everything that I love and tell me at gunpoint I had to go live and have me go live. It just was not going to happen. I was in a bad woo way. There were shit happening to my chart that I could not go live during. It just was too much. But I'm telling you now, I am back. I am here. I am so happy to go live so much. And that means one of the topics will probably be critical degree, because that 29 degree is no joke. Whew, it's called the critical degree because it's doing the most. Absolutely earns its rep. Looking at my chart and hearing this makes me feel so much better about myself. Oh, Kelly, I love you. Thank you. I love you. Oh, Day, thank you for putting the link in the chat for the eclipses video. More fabulous. EJ says, stelliums seem to me that they give people more feelings of what is happening in the woo weather, unless I'm in left field. No, EJ, I think you've got it. I think that what we're seeing with a stellium or any grouping of planets in the chart is we're seeing there is more energy in that part of our natal chart. And that means we're going to live that part of our chart differently than a place that might be empty. Now, the places that are empty don't have no energy. They just only have the energy of the how. Because if we go back to that formula of the planet is the what, the sign is the how, and the house is where it all shows up in our lives, we've got this structure of a how and a where, even without the planets. But once we start stacking planets in there, we start seeing what gets done. And that's what makes it turn up a little bit more. But no, I think you're absolutely right. Black Moon Lilith, please. Okay, all right, we're going to do it. Is Kay's chart a 2 stellium chart? The 7th house wasn't a stellium. Let's go. Yeah, we'll go back and look at Kay's one more time for that. Still wrapping my head around stelliums, paying attention on this live stream, and we'll take notes when watch replay. Of course. Yes, please and thank you on both critical degree and Black Moon Lilith. 3rd house, Saturn and Chiron, both retrograde. Yeah, Chiron spends most of its time retrograde. It's also very wiggly. Kristen says, stelliums feel like places where we signed up to learn a lot here in Earth School. I agree. So let's go. Day asked one question about Kay's chart before we move on to the final example that one of you beautiful, wonderful people has given me the opportunity to share during today's live, and that is the 7th house. So for the same reason that we didn't count the North Node in Aries here in the 1st house as something being toward a stellium, we don't count the South Node in Libra at 9 degrees in the 7th house as something toward the stellium. And we especially wouldn't do it with the South Node because the South Node is a drain of energy. Remember, it's the one that's shaped like a bucket and there's a hole in the bucket. Dear Liza. If you don't know that reference, you didn't grow up with me, but that was a big, was it Electric Company? Was it Muppets? Was it Sesame Street? Who was it Muppets? Who had hole in the bucket, dear Liza? Was it Electric Company? I don't know. It's one of those Saturday morning somethings. Anyway, because the South Node is draining energy, this is actually not going to be as big a focus as you might imagine, especially when we're coming off of that 6th house with so much energy. So here's what I would do though. I would say for sure this Venus is very Mercury-esque and this Mercury is very Venus-y because they are so close together. Those two definitely pair up in this chart. And I would imagine that there is a big set of values, because Venus, in every bit of communication that K has. And I would say that there's a whole lot of communicating that goes on around the love language for K, especially with both of these being in the seventh house, which is the house of your one-on-one relationship or your love relationship or business partnership, but it's usually one-on-one dynamics. But that south node there says, I'm going to take up a lot of energy. I'm going to drain some things that happen here. And of course, that's mostly true for a transiting south node. What is true of a natal south node is that we are coming from a karmic past. We are, if you believe in past lives, it's what you've done in past lives. If you don't believe in past lives, it's just the shit that you started out with. It's your baseline work here in your skin suit, your temporary skin suit that your soul decided to come in and occupy for this limited period of time. It means that there is stuff that is so easy to do but not great for you parked in that south node, and the journey of your life is to go from the south node to the north node in your own chart. And that may be another pop-up that we need to do. Add it to the list, the nodal journey. Samuel Reynolds, who is a fabulous astrologer that I have spent some time with, I've gotten readings from him and done a little bit of his coursework. He has a wonderful metaphor for the nodes, and he says that the south node is your dominant hand, and the north node is your non-dominant hand. And you're trying to do things with your non-dominant hand when you're trying to live into your north node, which is why it's hard. And it's so much easier to just pick up whatever it is you're doing with that dominant hand, which is the south node. As a lefty, I really appreciate this metaphor because everything in my life is backwards than the way that it's designed, because I'm left-handed and the world is designed for right-handed people. And because the world is designed for right-handed people, left-handed people have to always interpret, okay, hang on, let me do that slightly differently. What is the way that I have to use whatever that tool is? And you may not think that it's that big a deal, but it is a lot of emotional energy to have to always be translating something into the other hand, the other way of doing it. Because it's exactly backwards on almost everything. It's also why, by the way, left-handed people are more accident prone and die younger. It is because the world is not set up for left-handed people. So we get into little issues easier. We fall down more. We conk our head more. We go out more. Anyway, so to answer your question, Day, about this chart specifically, I would say we're going to go ahead and call this a definite sixth house stellium, even though we're using the outers, because it's too loud otherwise. And then a really healthy co-presence up here, far away from this south node of draining energy and old habits that we are moving away from as we move into a nodal Aries north node journey of that first house, taking more of an embodied self, a healed wound, and therefore a wounded healer doing more for the world and making Daddy Saturn proud. You could just see this whole chart like just laying itself right out. Let's finally look at the demo for E. Thank you, E, for being a part of the demo. I know you're watching in replay. I really appreciate you letting me use your chart. All right. Another cardinal on the angles. Oh my gosh. So F, thank you for being my one example of a non-cardinal on the angles chart. I did not realize that I was doing that, but I asked for volunteers at the very last minute over in our Discord, and so I didn't give myself enough time to get a variety of charts, I guess. But anyway, thank you all for letting me do this. And of course, you know, I might be convinced to, if I've got someone who is of a fixed sign rising, and you know that you are a fixed sign rising and want to put your birth info in the chat, I might be convinced to spend just a little time doing one more chart after this one. Okay, so here we go. We've got that sun in Cancer and the rising in Cancer. Both of those, even though they're really powerful forces, this is the driver of your life card and the navigator of your life card. The two together, not enough to make a first house stellium. We get over here to the second house of a Venus in Leo, and you know I love a Cancer sun with a Venus in Leo. Hello, love, 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 love. Okay, but no stellium. This is, woo, look at that conjunction. Ooh, 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 retrograde Pluto and retrograde Saturn right on top of each other, exactly 1 degree apart in the 4th house in Libra. Ooh, we got to do some structure and transformation and structure and transformation and structure and transformation around so much of that people pleasing and judgment and doing things with the family home and real estate and roots and ancestry, and oh, there's just so much. Oh, I could go on forever. Let's stick to the stelliums topic. Gillespie. All right, we got, oh, look all the retrogrades. Kristen, do we have a run for the money on all your retrogrades? We got a lot of retrogrades here. We got a retrograde Jupiter in Sagittarius. We have a beautiful Uranus retrograde in Sagittarius. We've got that South Node in Sagittarius, also retrograde, and Neptune retrograde in Sagittarius. Okay, it's a contender. These are outers. Uranus and Neptune, both outers. We don't count the South Node. If anything, the South Node is a drain or a distraction from the energy. It is the karmic way that we came in, and it's what we're trying to move away from over the course of our lives. We're in this journey from the South Node, easy way, easy way, easy way, to the North Node, which, while harder, more difficult, it is the one that is how our soul is trying to evolve in this time that we're here. Wow, but that is some energy. That is some. Sagittarius says, let's do the formula. We've got for each of these, that is the what. Jupiter says more. Uranus says, where am I not free? And then let's break whatever it is to get free. And Neptune says, reply hazy, try again later. Neptune is the actor planet, the liar planet, the I'm going to make things a little unclear planet. It's also where we go for medical stuff. And it's all like, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you for real. All of that energy is the what. And the how it's all being done is in a very Sagittarius way. And Sagittarius says big and loud and certain and expert and experientially. Sagittarius says, I'm going to need to experience it for myself. I'm going to go out and have an excursion. I am going to do extreme sports life over here with all of these things. And then where it shows up in your life is the 6th house, which is like the day-to-day, most basic, the humblest, the little things that happen in the daily life are around some really big energy. And I am fascinated, just based on what I know of this person, that we have not had this conversation before, because that is some really cool stuff. I could be convinced to say that that's a stellium, even though we're using outers, and normally, so again, the 3 or more rule, yes, but 2 of them are outers. Uranus is an outer and Neptune is an outer, and you could say, yeah, that's not really going to count because those are generational planets. They everybody who's born around this time has the same sort of signature, but I think that Jupiter and South Node turn those things up enough. And I know I said South Node is a drain, not a turn up, but what I mean is it is so a part of what is easy for you that could be considered a stellium. Let's put a pin in that, and we can have a conversation about it when you watch this and see if we believe that might be what's happening in some of the 6th house matters of life. No stellium with that sad moon in Capricorn. And when you say, Bonnie, why is this moon sad? The moon is sad because the moon does not like being in Capricorn. The moon says rest, and Capricorn says I'll rest when I'm dead. They from jump do not agree on the rules of rest. So that's part of that. And then look at that 0 point of Aries. You are about to get some energy on your midheaven, honey. You are about to get Neptune and Saturn on your Aries midheaven at 0 degrees. This is going to be a rocket ship of energy in your career. And I know we talked about some of that. Not the last time we talked about your chart, but the time before that. Okay. So then here we go. We've got Gemini Chiron, we've got a Gemini Mercury, and we've got a Gemini North Node and a Gemini Mars. I think, nope, that's also not going to be a stellium. And why is that not going to be a stellium? Back to Chiron, not really, and North Node, no. Yes, we've got this Mars on this north node, 3 degrees. It's pretty spacious. It's not that hard of a conjunction. It's not that right on top of each other. And certainly this Mercury on the other side of this north node. There are things that I want to say about this astrologically, but they don't have anything to do with the stellium conversation that we're having. So I am going to say that this is a not stellium example, but darn close. And so I'm going to say you do really feel the mutable transits because you've got mutable groupings of lots of energy. But with this being cardinal on the angles, meaning you've got a cardinal sign as your rising, and therefore first house, fourth house, seventh house, 10th house, and your moon, you're born full moon here, or were you born balsamic? No, full moon, born full moon. You've got so much cardinal energy in your life car being Cancer driver, Cancer navigator, and Capricorn backseat driver. And then you've got this powerhouse combo down here, Pluto and Saturn in Libra in your fourth house. Yeah, I'm going to say you've got more powerful forces in your chart than any of these stellium-esque things going on in your 6th and 12th houses. Doesn't mean that those aren't busy houses. It just means that they are not stelliums. Okay, let's go see how the chat feels about that. All right. Sesame Street, there's a hole in the bucket. Okay, good. Thank you. Yes, I got to talk about it, says Kelly. Yes. You do remember hole in the bucket. Okay, good. All right, great. In grade school, you learned it too. Okay, fabulous. Interesting, maybe what I've been blaming on my South Node in Libra is really a Pisces, Mercury, Venus, Chiron issue. VO, maybe. Ooh, yeah. Oh, I love this. I love how y'all are yes-anding one another. This is so good. Love that dominant, non-dominant hand, right? Isn't that great? I know Samuel Reynolds in general has fabulous views with astrology. I love that he came to astrology as a skeptic. He was like, I don't believe it. I don't buy it. And so he started studying it to show how he could debunk it. And then he became an astrologer because not only could he not debunk it, he found all the ways that it is in fact brilliant. I know, love it. Oh gosh, my ex, LOL. Aha. Yeah. Okay, I still have them beat, says Kristen. Okay, you still win the retrograde natally, the natal retrograde challenge, and I win the natal squares. I have 15 natal squares, which is so rude. Why not 16 so that I have an actual square of squares? It's so rude. Anyway, yes, definitely you are retrograde buds. Okay, voting that Jupiter Sagittarius makes it a stellium energy. Okay, I mean, like I said, I can be convinced. I don't see it as not, period, a stellium. I just think there are bigger factors in this chart. Jeannie says, I'm in the Pluto Uranus Virgo generation too. What you said about doing healing differently really fits. Think about it. Think about how those of us who are born in that Pluto Virgo generation, we are going to be the generation that cures cancer. We are definitely the generation, and when I say cures cancer, let me qualify that. You remember how when people were diagnosed HIV positive and with AIDS, it was a guaranteed death sentence. And you remember all the people we lost in our lives because of there was no cure, and this was just that's how that happens. And I remember my mom died of pancreatic cancer, and she died 20 days after diagnosis. They told her at the time of diagnosis that she had anywhere from 6 weeks to 6 months to live. And I, being the good daughter that I was, got into some medical information and did some research and said, Mom, I think it is definitely closer to the 6 weeks than the 6 months, and it may be even sooner based on the symptoms that you are having. And sure enough, she was gone in 20 days. And pancreatic cancer, up until very recently, was an absolute death sentence. And it was, once you find out it's pancreatic cancer, you have like a year tops. And there were very, very, very few examples of people who were able to live after having been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And now There are people who survive pancreatic cancer. So when I say cure cancer, what I mean is I think that in our generation, it's not like here's a pill, take it and you will not get cancer or your cancer will be forever taken away. I think that what we're going to find is the types of cancers that used to be seen as with a high mortality rate or as a guaranteed death sentence are going to be, it's just a thing that we live with, kind of like the way people now live with HIV and AIDS diagnoses. I think that we could absolutely see some of it wiped out. Certain kinds of cancers just completely wiped out. And do remember that cancer is the word that we gave to all cells that are behaving differently than we expect. So not all cancer is the same. And I don't just mean body parts that it takes place in. I'm saying we use the word cancer to just lump cells behaving differently than what we expect. And cells healing are also cells behaving differently than they normally do in the body. Like until they go, boop, 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 we got to go heal something, and then they run over and start healing things. The cells operate in all sorts of different ways in our bodies. And so there's just a lot that I think the generation of Pluto in Virgo is going to bring through to holistic healing. We're going to bring back a lot of pre-white coat medicine, a lot of ancestral and witchy medicines, and things that have been poo-pooed, I think are going to be more and more a part of the healing journey. We're going to do things a lot more encompassing the mental health journey of being a patient and going through something physically. I think because our generation has so many people with chronic illnesses and health issues that just don't stop, we are absolutely the generation that revolutionizes health and healing. That's Virgo Pluto for damn sure. Yep. Indeed. Yay, Nelly. I'm so glad that you could make it by. Voting subtle with the minutes of E demo, but can't help but wonder how much 44 as an angel number comes up for E demo. That would be a really good question and conversation to have. Y'all are both in Live Your Chart membership, so we can, I'll do a little at y'all in Discord and we can have that conversation as well. Yay, comes up with a cure at least, right? Yep. Oh gosh, I do remember HIV, right. Such an aggressive form, hard to witness. Yeah, Michelle, it was rough. The good news about losing mom 20 days after diagnosis was 20 days was enough to be able to get everything done that needed to be done with her present and to have her opinion on how everything needed to go so that there would be no questions after she was gone. There was a little thing that one of my siblings wanted to believe differently after mom was gone. And so I had one sibling saying one thing and the other sibling saying the other thing. And so they came to me to say, hey, now you get into this with us and pick a side. And I was like, you know whose side I picked? Mom's. Mom settled this already before she left. So good luck, you two. Fight it out like y'all did before I was born. I got nothing to say about it. And that's kind of when we stopped talking. But anyway, yeah, it was enough time for us to do all the conversations that needed to happen in the physical plane before that was no longer an option. And we also like made deals with each other. Like, we're going to meet up here energetically. I'm going to show up as this kind of critter. When this happens, you'll know it's me, that sort of thing. I highly recommend that you set that up with people that are important to you. Keith and I have that. Like, I've already told him, because he says I'm going first, whatever. As long as he's not killing me to make that happen. But if he does, oh well, there you go. We know what happened. He says I'm going first. So we've already agreed how I'm going to haunt him when I'm gone to another plane and he's still around. And it's basically the same way I haunt him now. He leaves cabinets open and I close them. He leaves lights on and I turn them off. So I'm going to just be doing a lot of the same tidying up that I already do. Okay. True use of cancer. Learned that from Medicine X. Yes. Grandma got it at 93, said 6 weeks, and she lasted 6 months. Oh, but it was long and brutal suffering. I'm so sorry. Yeah, love and healing to everyone who's encountered cancer and its effects, of course. Yeah, I think for sure. Essential oils, herbs with the woo weather. Yes, Deb Marie, definitely. All of that. Everything that would be considered like hippie healing, like, yes, that's Virgo Pluto generation says yes and more of that. And please, just because you're wearing that white coat, stop mansplaining to me what my body is telling you. I'm telling you what my body's telling everyone. A lot more sovereignty around that as well. Love the idea, says Holly, of bringing more witchy meds in natural med along with modern. Definitely do a lot of good working together with wish more doctors believed in this. You know, Holly, I spent a lot of time in my bed rest of 2018 researching, and then after I got off bed rest and when I started going on my health odyssey and exploring and meeting with so many experts, and so just I had the budget for it, and I went all over and I found people to work with. There are more people today who are aware of the work of Peter Levine and John Sarno and Gabor Mate and Howard Schubiner, and then my doctor, John Strax. Like, these are all doctors that are specializing in things like mind-body healing. And I think that we're getting more people who are open to, like, when I told my main doctor, my main, like, dealing with my physical pain, all my meds doctor, when I told him that I was going to do RTT, which is rapid transformation therapy, it's a kind of hypnosis, and see if that helped with my pain, he didn't flinch, he didn't blink, he didn't go like, okay, that's weird. He went, let me know how that goes. And I so appreciate that after a lifetime of doctors who would go, okay, and roll their eyes if I said I was going to a chiropractor. Like, things have definitely changed. Yes, things have definitely changed. And will continue to. Dueling siblings. Yeah, whatever. Let that be theirs. Yep. Awesome. Right. Okay. Med-splaining. Thank you, Vio. All right. That's it. Med-splaining. That is the word now. It's not mansplaining, it's med-splaining. I am going to take a breath of my Breathe essential oil after that one. That was so good. Thank you. Y'all, thank you for joining me for this Stelliums conversation. I love you all. We will do it again soon. Please visit me at bonniegillespie.com/events to find out when I will next be going live. I can tell you for sure, in the month of March, I will be doing the April Use Your Moons calendar, and that's the work along. And in case you missed it last time, I got my highlighters. I did. I didn't buy them on Don't Buy Anything Day, but I did buy them. So now I have all the colors that I need for my Use Your Moons demo, and that's going to happen after the eclipse, after the first eclipse. I think that's next Friday. The 14th, I think. Yeah, I don't think I'm going live on the 13th. Am I? Am I going live on the 13th? Someone who has my calendar can tell me if I'm going live on the 13th. That would be weird. If I decided I'm going live on the eclipse day, weirder things have happened. I don't know, maybe. All right, great. I can't wait for Use Your Moons too. I have an entire playlist, and I even at YouTube turned the playlist into a podcast, so you can subscribe to it in whichever way makes sense for you. I am hoping that before the next Use Your Moons, I will have a little workbooky thing with you, available for you, along with the blank calendar pages, so that in addition to filling out your own with your own colors as we do the show and tell, you can also have my glyph guide and some like how-to planetary remediation, aka chart harmony tools, so that you know how to use the colors of the days ahead. The 14th. Okay, it's the 14th. Thank you, Day. I will be live on the 14th for Use Your Moons. We will have the eclipse just before that. So remember, eclipse protocol, as always, rest, hydrate, bubble wrap. All right. Mwah. Love you, beautiful people. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for spending this time with me. I will catch you on the next one. And until then, see you in the stars. I know, so cliche. Bye.